Glenn, we're getting a lot of emails pouring in after that last statement from addresses that end at msnbc.com saying that if you need any help with that baton to the head, they will be there for you.
Yeah. But if MSNBC says something, I mean, it's like the tree in the woods. I mean, did they really say it?
All right. Our final important question from Lazai, I think it is. Is it true, Glenn, that donuts are the answer to all of life's problems?
Yes. David, could you, one more question for you from me. Tell me if out of all of the books that you have read, all of the books that you have seen, everything that could possibly, if you only had one, out of anything that you could possibly think of, besides the Overton window, and by the way, 5,000-year leap, real George Washington, the real Thomas Jefferson, real Ben Franklin are available in the lobby, and all of the proceeds, everything after expenses for the booksellers, they are going to the 828 Project. So if you need those books, they're available there. What is the one book, if you said you have to understand this, in regards to faith and our country?
The one book I would choose is a book from 1864. It's not been reprinted recently. It is on Google Books, but it's out there for everybody to read. It's called The Chaplains and Clergy of the American Revolution. You read that, you understand faith, you understand honor, virtue, you understand the price they paid, you understand how widespread faith was, you understand how faith interacted with the founders and the pastors, and you understand how the country came to be. That's probably the single book I would choose as Pastors and Clergy of the American Revolution.
Okay, one more thing. David is going to join me, not on 828, but we haven't announced this yet, on 827. On 827, he is going to be doing something that has not been done in 200 and I don't know how many years, with these very sermons, and it is something that you will please look for the announcement of. I'm sorry, but MSNBC, Keith Olbermann really is, and this makes me so happy, he really is a member of Insider Extreme. Bash me all you want, but they have to pay me $9.95 a month to do it. Uh-oh. But look for that announcement because it's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm. All right, if you have any other questions for Glenn, you can do it right from your seats. Email revival@glennbeck.com. Include your name and section so we know where you're coming from. Or if you're on Insider Extreme watching now and you want to tell us that you're there, that would be great, too.
The only other thing we need is your Social Security number.
Right, well.
That's all.
Proof of residency.
We may be changing your long-distance carrier without your notification, but we've got a really good rate of $18.95 a month.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Stretch your legs, and we'll be back with more of the American Revival.
See you in a while.
Hi, Scott Baker with you backstage here at the American Revival in Salt Lake City. And I think for Insider Extreme members, I think the last time that you may have seen me was at the Nokia Theater in Times Square when we did the event with Glenn, and a lot of you had some great questions that we were able to press Glenn with that night. Since then, I've actually joined Glenn at Mercury Radio full-time. Some incredible lapse of judgment on their part. And I've been tasked today to kind of work backstage. There's going to be traffic, people coming through, and so it might be a little crazy. In fact, wait, in 5 seconds you'll see Judge Napolitano walk behind me. There you go, right there. That happened. In fact, if you weren't an Insider Extreme member, you wouldn't know. But later, when Judge Napolitano speaks, then we'll get to talk to him afterwards. In fact, David Barton will be coming down and joining us here for just a couple of minutes. And this was kind of an opportunity to kind of talk directly to you guys because in the hall, and I tell you, I walked around, I talked to people, I saw the people coming in, and we knew the spirit of this place. But I knew that I couldn't even tell, in thinking about the Insider Extreme members watching, what to expect today. And I will tell you that as we're even watching the traffic of the numbers of you watching right now, it's blown away even our expectations. Don't you people have anything better to do on a Saturday than to say, let's concentrate on America's founding principles. Let's think about the things that matter. Aren't there chores to be done? Gardening, games to get to? No, apparently not. I will tell you this, as I see David Barton walking over here, that I was not exactly tasked to come and do this here backstage. Having just joined Mercury full-time, I informed them that I was coming here anyway because I felt like I needed to know more. And boy, have I already learned a lot. So let's bring on David Barton. Just come on in. I'll let you take the spot here to my right. We saw Judge Napolitano walk by, but wow, I'm still reeling a little bit from everything that we learned. But this is the third American Revival that you've been a part of.
Right.
I've got about 18 questions, and we have about 4 minutes with you. So I'll ask you to give 4-second answers.
All right, 4 seconds.
How a lot of this, I'm gauging, you get a lot of feedback. Mm-hmm. So from the original ones, from Orlando to Phoenix to here today, what are you hearing from people as the year has gone on, as we've been able to put these ideas out there? Are people starting to get it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely starting to get it. People that are just common, average, good-hearted citizens absolutely get it. Never heard this stuff. This is cool. Of course, the nuts that run so much of the media and the left, it drives them crazy. The more good people get equipped, the more they hate it. So you get a dual reaction. The reaction from the elite to this kind of stuff is this is a terrible rally. And the reaction of the people who are here is, man, we're equipped, we're empowered, we feel like we can go kick tail somewhere.
Right. I'm scared, by the way, because I've heard, because I'm new on the Mercury staff, and I've heard Glenn on TV and interviewing people, and he always says, "Who's your favorite founder?" Right? And my problem is that every time I hear you talk, I get a different one.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that okay?
Man, don't ask me for my favorite founder because I'll rattle off 15 or 20 of them.
So if Glenn asked you, you'd be like, I can't pick one.
It could be Benjamin Rush, it could be John Jay, of course, it could be John Quinn, and I go through a bunch of them. There's just so many cool guys back there.
It was a really stirring reminder, even having heard it before and heard you speak before. One of the questions that popped up in my mind as I was listening today. I know a couple of very patriotic conservative atheists. What's the role for the person who's not of faith and how they view America's founding on faith?
You know what? One of the things that has always stood out is America's faith is different from that of Europe. Founders made a big distinction. Don't call American Christianity European Christianity. They killed people over there. We don't do it here. It is because of the blessings of faith that we have the civil government that we have. And so under that same umbrella, even though the founders were Christians, they invited Jews in, they invited all of the religions in. And it's the same thing with even atheism. As long as it's not trying to blow up the ship that provided all the freedom, as long as it recognizes and says, okay, I don't personally believe in that, but I do recognize that's a ship that's carrying me, that's fine. And that's the way Roger Williams talked about it when he founded Rhode Island, is you may not agree with me, but don't try to blow up the ship that brought it here. And so the faith that has made us who we are as a people, man, if you don't agree with that, that's fine, but just don't try to blow it up. Don't try to destroy what made us who we are.
Let me ask you one question, because I've watched and been a part of the conservative movement for 20, 25 years, and I've seen various sort of phases that we've gone through, from the moral majority, the Christian coalition, to disenfranchisement with some of those ideas, to sort of re-engagement. And then I know even this year there's been a lot of discussion, a book that's been out there saying that maybe people of faith need to step back from politics a little bit to kind of take a posture of what's been called sort of faithful presence. Mm-hmm. Your view on how to balance a faith that informs politics but isn't diminished by politics.
I would
in the
answer
public
that
square.
with one of my favorite founding fathers. They go to Benjamin Rush, and Benjamin Rush talked about that there was one of the top three. When he set up the plan for what we should do in schools in America, he said schools should do three things in them. He said, number one, they should teach students God, a love for God, and responsibility to God. You're accountable to Him. Number two, you should teach students to love and serve their country. And number three, to love and serve their family. Now, today we would have said God, family, country. He said God, country. And you go, wait a minute, time out, why? And he said, if you ever lose control of your government, it'll become the great enemy of the family. And so their perspective was, if you don't stay involved to keep government friendly to these areas, then you're going to pay the price for it. And I cannot tell you, I have a collection in the last 2 months of people of faith who have been arrested simply for sharing their faith in public. Now, that's a stupid thing to say, let's not get involved. Let's let these guys be hostile to us. Only when faith is present do you really have the tolerance that we need, and that's what we got to have. We got to have people involved. Otherwise, we will be arrested for sharing the very things we talk about.
David, thanks. And
My
I know
pleasure,
there, and I guess you back up with later in the afternoon.
we're back
Everybody
in the
up there.
afternoon.
All right, looking forward to it.
Thanks, bro.
Indeed.
See you, man.
Fantastic. And we're gonna, we'll do the same thing with David Buckner and with Judge Napolitano, and I'll try to go and I know they're going to ask questions from the floor, as Stu and Pat are going to do that. So, but we may even be able to slip in a couple. So if you want to email, I think it was revival at glenbeck.com. And if you want to slip in some questions that you think maybe I can get to Buckner or to Napolitano, I'll try to go and I'll sneak a look at Pat Gray's iPad and see if I can pull the questions off of there. This is a remarkable event, and you are remarkable for supporting it. And I want you to know that your investment in Insider Extreme, I hope you've already feel like it's been paying off. I've talked to people who watched some of the Beck University broadcasts already and said, wow, was this worth it? I wish everybody could see it. And as you know, just for the small investment you've made, it's allowed us to support the kind of thing that we're doing, that we're going to do even more of. And even the little glimpses that I've had as I've come on board to help kind of build out some of these things and help Glenn get the message out. You're very much a part of it, and we want to say thank you for that. So now listen, we got coming up here, because we're going to have to take a quick break on the stream, just because it's kind of like a race car pulling in for the pit stop. You kind of got to take the tires off and pump it up. So we'll power down here in a second and get the thing cranked back up. So don't go away. I know a ton of you are watching, and we're really grateful for that. But one of the things that I think is going to be most exciting about what's coming up is, even as Glenn's out there every day sounding alarm bells about things that are wrong, about things that are potential crises, the things that could do us in, that it's not just faith, it's hope. We have to kind of provide that positive spark, that positive message that says, here's where we're going. And that's going to be this next integral part. I appreciate you being here. Scott Baker with you. I'll be back at the other side of David Buckner. We'll see you in the lunchtime hour. In the meantime, enjoy the American Revival from Salt Lake City.